What's good, YouTube? It's your girl Sky, also known as Lil Piglet. Welcome back to another YouTube video. Now, with the CDL coming up so soon, I thought it was the perfect time to do a tier list on the 12 teams we'll be watching compete for the next year. And of course, I could do it by myself, but where's the fun in that? I have asked my two amazing co-hosts of the Two Good cast to help me out, you know, just to get some insight on where we think teams should be from S to D tier. And at the end of the video, we're going to be picking our favorite team to root for this year and do a bit of a competition between each other. I would like to introduce my good bros, Mr. Timo Too Good, cause he's too good. Yes, he's that good. And Statics, what? Who will come for your head top on any Call of Duty game that's ever existed? Not gonna lie.
Facts.
1v1 him if you want.
W Glaze.
You will see.
Definitely talking about wars.
Are you serious? That's the last time I'm complimenting this man.
Don't kill me.
How you guys doing?
We're
Not
good,
too bad.
Piggy. We're good. I'm actually very excited for this, you know. I'm very, very excited.
I cannot wait. And we're probably going to hurt people's feelings, yeah. Please, we have not seen these teams play together at all. Most of these teams are like newly formed or changed their roster. So this is just based on what we've seen previously and just like just predictions on how they could play this year, honestly. But this could all change very, very soon. You never know. We're going to start with the one and only Toronto Ultra, who were last year's runners-up for Championship Sunday. And yeah, I mean, every time I mention this team, yeah, there's a bit of salt that's put on it because we all know what happened. You know, they got absolutely destroyed in the finals. Wasn't close. Wasn't close. Wasn't pretty. Do you remember watching that game with me?
I do. The S&D, was it S&D right at the end? They won it. Yeah, Subliners just absolutely took over. Hydra, I think him being in flow state was an understatement in that Championship Sunday.
You were
completely took over. Kismet as well.
He had
just,
a bit, yeah.
doing
After the
Kismet
interview
like
Scrappy
things.
did, like Kismet was just like, yeah, I thought he wasn't
just
having it. You know,
absolutely
he wasn't having it. Have you seen much of Toronto Ultra, Timo?
I mean, they had a surprise. I think the amount that I was able to watch in the last I guess the last calendar year would have been more so in regards to the last major, how they got themselves to the final as opposed to the actual final match. And I feel like they performed pretty well up to that point.
Yeah.
I saw some crazy stuff from quite a few of them. I'm not gonna say specific names, obviously I know the roster's changed. But to the extent where I know who Toronto Ultra are, guys, if you don't know, I'm trying to get myself into CDL. But yeah, no. Yeah.
We're very excited about it.
Yeah.
Because Timo is a massive quad head just like we are. But this is a whole new avenue of this incredible skill. Like it's gonna be fun this year.
Don't worry, we got you, Timo.
We got you. We're gonna give you some guidance, especially when it comes to picking your team to root for. We're gonna give you a nice amount of information. Make sure you have an informed decision to make. Yeah. But yeah, so right now the roster for Toronto Ultra is CleanX, Envoy, Insight, and Scrappy. Now, Envoy was on LA Thieves the year before.
As I can see from the outfit change.
Yes, you can. I mean, they haven't even changed his fit on the website yet. I don't think they haven't put the t-shirt on him yet. You know, the Toronto Ultra one.
That's crazy.
But yeah, I mean, they were literally a top 2 team the whole year, and then they've picked up Envoy, who is one of the best SNG players in the game right now. So it's like Thanos got another Infinity Stone kind of thing. So
comparison,
I don't have the idea of that.
Yeah,
That's
it's
crazy.
a bit mad. So I feel like I know what I would personally put them not of respect, even though they came second. I mean, second is still an amazing placement. Maybe not definitely not what they wanted, but yeah, I know I want to put them, but I want to get your thoughts first on where you see Toronto Ultra being on this list.
Well, okay, I would straight off the bat, I would put Toronto Ultra in A tier. I think they could easily be S tier with the signing of Envoy because I think he like significantly improves that squad. You know, CleanX used to be, correct me if I'm wrong, but he was like the Slayer, SMG. I forgot who was his duo last year.
I was gonna say Hixie, but I feel like I'm wrong.
No, it was Hixie.
It was a Hixie, all right.
Yeah, it was Hixie. You know, CleanX was, you know, the typical dirty work kind of player, and he really was a bulldozer in the front line.
Yeah.
Now having Envoy there as well, it's like having two Slayers, but it's going to be interesting to see who takes more of the sit on hill role and who does like the dirty work. But I would definitely put Ultra in A tier.
I like that. Would you agree, Timo?
Well, I mean, based off of the performances that I saw last year and the fact they're picking up a big game player like Envoy, and categorically speaking on how you guys view him, if the difference between second and first was quite a large gap, him coming into the team would more or less suggest to me that they're trying to close that gap in pretty well. So but I wouldn't argue with an A tier at all.
Yeah.
Just also raise a point as well that Ultra in Cold War, the Cold War season, they were up against Faze for Championship Sunday, right? So as an org, they're still like, you know, a threat to other teams. You know what I'm saying?
100%. Yeah.
Massively. They are, like I said, they're easily a top 2 team right now.
Yeah.
It's not even a debate with whatever roster they've had. I mean, as soon as Scrappy entered, I mean, let's be real. They just
he showed
became
up.
Incredible.
He showed up.
He did. So I agree with A. I was thinking about putting them in S, only because, but then I'm like, we could decide if you want to move anybody up at the end or down. But for now, I think A is a great like
this
starting
is just
point.
A
out of respect.
for now.
Yeah, exactly. It's a great starting point. So yeah, hopefully no one in the comments is too mad at that. We got our reasons. Right. Next up, we have Boston Breach, which is a bit of an interesting org because last year they did surprise people with how well they actually did. I wouldn't say they're a top team, but it's more so they're a bit of a sleeper team who pushed a lot of top teams to the brink.
A matchup that I remember was Fortress. I remember they played against OpTic on Fortress, and boy, that spawn trap where
was it great?
Of the horse. Yeah, that one. I mean, do you know what? I don't really. That's a real test of like, oh yeah, this team's really good because I think all it takes is just a good setup. You know, just split the map in 2. But they really did bring the fight to OpTic. You know, arguably one of the biggest and best orgs in CDL history. So yeah, that was. I think they are. I would consider them underdogs, maybe.
Surprise!
I think so too. I think
it's gonna be harsh. I'm just going to lay my decision now. It's going to be somewhat harsh.
Yeah.
But I would put them C for now.
Okay. You feel like it would start on down here.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the roster here and I see 7 people. And now I've been thrown all the way off because I know it's Slasher, Priester.
2 ARs.
And then I'm pretty sure it's Snoopy.
Yes.
Pentagram is their sub. Because he was recently announced as their sub player, like as a substitute player, if anything goes wrong. But then there's Kremp, Capsidal, and Beans, and I'm sure Beans is not on this team anymore.
No, he's not.
So I don't know if it's Kremp or Cap who's the sub.
I think it's so I think the actual official roster is Priester, Slasher, Snoopy, Capsidal. Snoopy and Cap as your subs, and Priester, Slasher as your ARs.
Okay. Yeah, see that.
I love how this guy's talking with such authority. Keep it up, bro.
I'm not 100% sure, but I'm gonna take your word for it. But I would say like this is a very different Boston Breach than what we saw last year.
It is, yeah.
Snoopy was the new kid on the block. He came in, made a massive wave. He played really well. Came from challenges. Got picked up really last minute. It was actually quite hard for him because like he basically got picked up in like the hardest games of their whole season, and he performed. So I'm excited to see how he flourishes because we always see challenges players recently anyway flourishing when they come out. Like I feel like it's just something in the air at the moment for the rookies. Slasher is obviously, they call him the Lily Goat, not Lily Coat, because play on his name. But I mean, he's a solid AR. He's been on all the best teams pretty much, a bar like OpTic, and he's been on like top teams the whole like Call of Duty life cycle. Priester is an interesting one because Priester was on the team that won the last champs and then got dropped.
Crazy.
Yeah. He got shafted. I'm not gonna lie, he got shafted.
I don't know how I feel about that one, I'll be honest with you.
It's weird.
If it's not broken, don't fix it. And it seems like they want to break it to fix it to look even better. But we'll see. We'll see.
It's some people could understand why they did it. They picked up Sib as an AR player, who was another superstar. Him and Pred were like the ones that kind of carried that team. Some would say. But So I get it. Like, if you take like AR for AR, you might just say get Sibis more cracked, right? But if you've won
It's
with
very
this
close
guy,
in my opinion.
I feel like Priestess brings a lot to the table that people don't see as well. So it's very easy for them to look at the young kid and be like, yeah, he's just more skillful. But it's like, I don't think people give Priestess flowers at all.
His flowers, yeah.
Especially for
I
how
agree
long he's
with
been
that.
playing. So
Yeah.
I feel like he's gonna have a lot to prove this year, which is why I feel like it could give like the Boston Breach extra fire. It's a good pickup for them. They got quite lucky because it's like how often you get a championship player in your team because he got dropped. So yeah, I agree. It's a weird one because I don't want to put them B because there are other teams I would put in B, and I don't know if they're there yet. So like, I'm comfortable with putting them C just because it is a little bit of a question mark, and
there is potential for them to be a B8 like tier team purely because of the experience of Slasher, you know, the slaying ability of Pre-Star, because I'm sure he'll be like more of the Slayer kind of AR if that even exists. You know, Snoopy and Cap now. Like Cap, I've seen Cap still in Vanguard days. You know, I've seen that he's got good centering. You know, they've got 2 cracked SMGs. Like Boston is going to be a team to look out for 100%.
I think so too. I feel like Capsidal's like a bit of an underrated player as well. Just because you got so many like superstar SMGs like in the league. Other ones that are just like a slight level below them, I feel like people look at them like look down on them even more so when the gap it's not as big as people like would say. So I feel like he still has room to grow. I would like to see Boston do well personally. This is
I think between the 2 SMGs, I would say Cap is more of a tidy, more neater player. Like Snoopy, I think is just pure raw talent. So it'll be interesting to see how Snoopy develops across the season, and it'll be interesting to see, like, I would like to think that Cap will be like a support system for Snoopy, because I've seen clips of Snoopy. He is pure raw talent, but it's whether the IQ is there, because the gunny's there 100%. No one can question Snoopy's gunny, but it's whether he's got the plays, the IQ to, you know, really cement himself as or compete with the top SMGs in the league.
I mean, in reference to what Warren was talking about in regards to Snoopy having, you know, quite a lot of raw talent, that's somebody that kind of sprung up on the TL timeline for me. Where I was playing a lot of Warzone, and he seemed to be like the surprise talent that everyone was talking about. So him being in his second year, or second event, more or less suggests to me that if he has good, decent level experience, and I'm pretty sure Slasher and Priest are able to kind of contribute towards that. I think he's kind of under the right kind of umbrella, and it'd be interesting to see how different he plays under this team compared to what they had to offer last year.
All right, so moving on, we got LA Guerrillas. I'm gonna admit their roster is a bit of a question mark because the only name I have experience of watching is Assault, and the other 3 it's been like on and off. So their roster is Assault, Eastriel, Diamond Con, and Fame. Fame, I'm pretty sure was from Challenges, and so is Eastriel. I feel like Diamond Con has competed in the CDL. I could be wrong, but I have actually seen this name before. And he's an AR player as well. So I don't know. The only one I know about is Assault, really. I like Assault, but like I said, this is a mad question mark for me. I don't know if Warren, you've like seen these players play a bit more than me.
Well, I've seen more of Assault and Fame. A little bit of Diamond Con. Don't know too much about Eastriel, but what I do know about Assault is that he was an MVP in 2018. So he's looking like, you know, the Capitan of the team. You know, he seems like the guy that's, you know,
Put the young guns around him.
The IGL. You could say he's the IGL, whether he's a sub AR, wherever role he plays, he looks like he might be the one to lead the team. I'm unsure. Do you know what I'm saying? But
I don't want to be too harsh on him because there is an element of just not knowing much about them as a team as well, like together. I haven't really watched them play. I haven't watched them swim.
They are like freshmen of the CDL. So it's either they're gonna come up against the best and just get absolutely murdered, or they're really gonna hold their own. And it's gonna be interesting because now, obviously, with Modern Warfare 3, it's looking like a very a good game. You know, we've got somewhat of a skill gap. It's going to be interesting to see the team chemistry the kind of plays they're gonna make. So
Exactly.
with that
Interesting.
being said, because I don't know too much about them, I'm gonna put them in D.
I agree. I'm glad you said it. I was feeling real bad, but like, no, I hear it. I hear it. Are we? What do we think?
E for me, I feel like obviously, look, I mean, this is the first time I'm hearing a few of these names, and as much as I don't have a lot of CDL knowledge, I do recognize names when I hear them. So for me, it's like if I haven't heard you, it's no offense to you or the ability of your teammates, or even the org. You know, we haven't seen enough of you guys, or we haven't heard enough of you guys for us to come to a put you any higher than that. Essentially.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like it's kind of fun that way too. Like to have teams and players that weren't. Yeah, it's like to have teams and players we don't really know of right now. As we do more of these, because obviously what the plan is to hopefully do one at the end of every major and kind of rejig the tier list. It will be interesting to see how teams like change placements and like who stands out to us and who were like, wait, hold on a minute, we weren't familiar with your game. Like, you know, I kind of like not knowing everyone, you know, because it can get a bit stale when you're so locked in sometimes. You don't get shocked, you don't get surprised.
There's an element of mystery with some of these teams, which is what I like, because obviously I'm aware of, you know, the main orgs like Thieves and Faze and OpTic, but now I have something to look out for.
Exactly.
With these, you know, the underdogs, you could say.
Yeah, I think I would call them that as well, especially with the talent that we've got already in the CDL. I would call these players underdogs 100%. But a team that I wouldn't call an underdog is the one and only Atlanta Faze, who is somebody's favorite team in here.
So this is funny because I actually recognize 4 out of 5.
Let's go.
Obviously at the time that I looked into Faze properly, Arcetes was still there. I believe it was Arcetes.
Yeah.
But even at that time, I think it was really clear. I mean, it's clear to see that both Simp and MWIII were, you know, doing their thing. And obviously, I don't even have to talk too much about selling before Warren decides to completely destroy me and my lack of knowledge. But don't worry, I know too much because glazing, Warren has pretty much fed me over the last God knows how many years now.
I would like people in the comment section, if you know a bit more about this, why Crowder actually isn't on this page, because Crowder has been their main coach every year for years. I know he's killing it with content creation. I don't know if he's taken a step back with that to focus on content. I'm just shocked his face is not right bang in the middle, because he has been like part of the face of Faze as well. So if anyone knows, like if it's been any official like announcements or anything like that, please let us know in the comments if there's been a change. But as far as I was always aware, Crowder was like head coach. So that's interesting. That's interesting. But in terms of the players, I mean,
being the
come on, please don't continue. I'm just breathing heavy.
No, I look at how LA Thieves performed last year. And I don't think anybody that's either still on the team or has moved on from that team are going to be really happy overall. I mean, there's a lot to kind of digest in regards to what happened there. However, I know Draza to be a very experienced player, somebody that, you know, has good know-how and probably has a few IGL qualities that probably aren't, that shouldn't go missing or under the radar. I think he's very well suited. I think that's something that maybe Faze maybe lacked last year in maybe a couple of scenarios.
Right.
But for the general gist of things, I think that's a great acquisition. I don't think you're going to get too much better than, you know, Draza in regards to what he can bring to the team. And ultimately, look, these guys, they've been frying for years now. They know how to get it done. They've won majors before.
Yeah,
it's just a matter of, you know, being able to kind of deliver with that consistency that, you know, we've come to, you know, realize with Faze doesn't come as often as they'd like to. However, I'm actually looking forward to seeing how this team plays out this year.
I'm interested, Warren. Like, you guys went from having RCs to having Slasher to now having Draza, someone who was very vocal about feeling like everyone's dog beep. So how did you feel when you saw Draza was getting picked up by your team?
All right, I'm gonna be completely honest with you. Very skeptical about the the Draza signing because I'll be so honest. I disliked Draza for the last like 2 seasons. Vanguard at Thieves. Do you know what? He had every right to feel confident and somewhat arrogant during the Vanguard season because they were not losing a HP on Gavutu. They were slamming teams on that map.
That was
so I get it.
veto.
I totally understand. But it's when you're dropping donuts in Search and Destroy. It's like I don't know, like you're giving all this chat and then you're getting slammed in S&D and you're dropping donuts. Like you can't even buy a trade at this point.
Yeah.
And then obviously, continue on to the next season. Draza was he holds his own. I like him as a Call of Duty player. I like him. Forget about the things he says outside. If we're just looking solely as a Call of Duty player, there's a lot to like about him. So since he joined Faze and since watching the scrims and everything like that, I think he fits into this Faze team like a glove, like a perfect size glove. I think he's gonna probably enjoy himself the most here. Hot take, controversial opinion, purely because you've got Celium, Abizi, and Simp, who's they I don't need to say too much about them, but I think he's definitely gonna enjoy himself here. I think he probably could pick up some chips with this team. I think another controversial hot take, but FaZe have always picked up an AR player that's kind of improved from the last. Now, I'm not going to say, Draza's better than Slasher and Slasher's better than Narcites, but in different aspects of their game, they obviously, some of the ARs, like Slasher's not a slain AR, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's more of like a IGL, control the game, control the comms, make sure everything's, settled and all that kind of stuff. Narcites, he's somewhat the same. That's why I feel like Sasha was a tinsy wincy of an improvement to Narcites. And then now you've got Draza, who I think can do the slaying ability because I have seen him in scrims. I've seen him absolutely beam. And, he can be the one that just sits on the hill and just lets everyone do the dirty work. So I've grown to like Draza, to summarize. I've grown to like him. And I hope to see that he's successful with this organization.
Yeah, I agree somewhat. I'm definitely intrigued to see him play because obviously he came from having his AR duo was OpTic, who was, in my opinion, the best all-round AR in the game. Obviously, people argue with Dashy, people argue with Celium, but like OpTic had like a bit of a presence that was just, I don't know. He generally felt like Thanos. Like they call Slasher Thanos, but OpTic generally kind of felt like he was like the new Thanos. Like he was the one AR you want in any team. Like you would pick him up and pay whatever you need to pay to get on your team. Yes. Obviously, he was on a difficult LA Thieves roster in that year. They weren't playing the best, but you can put that to how many different like categories. But obviously, Draza played a much faster paced role than OpTic. OpTic's always been a bit of a slower AR, and Draza's always been like that quicker pace, in your face. Well, I say AR, obviously Draza he's a flex, to be honest. So he's a faster paced kind of player. But I've always felt like Celium's not actually a traditional AR player. You know what I'm saying? Like I feel like you would pair Draza with a traditional AR player, like someone who does not move from their head glitch, someone who is like anchoring and holding time and whatnot, right? Very disciplined. Whereas like, sometimes I feel like Celium goes off road, but because he's so good, it don't matter. Like he gets to get away with it. He has pace, right? So I'm intrigued to see who slows down because Draza's a flex, right? So you don't have a traditional AR in Celium, so you're both almost kind of looking like a flex, but so I think it will be fine. Like these are professional players. If someone's got to slow down a little bit, then I don't think they're gonna find it difficult. I'm worried for other teams if they do find that synergy, because you literally don't go wrong. Like this team playing at their best I can't lie, they look unbeatable. Yeah. At their best, they look unbeatable. Agreed. The only issues I'll see is like if they have a systematic problem in how they approach things. Because like Slasher brought system, he brought like years and years of experience of knowing what works and what doesn't. Whereas I don't know if this team has yet figured that out. The same reason why they got Narcites had a very similar type of system. But now that they're moving away from that, I'm just intrigued to see kind of who steps up, like who becomes now the new mastermind to get that machine working, even when you're not even doing that well. Like who kind of picks them back up, who, do you know what I'm saying, who gets them through those really difficult games. So those game 5 round 11s, who's edging that out, do you know what I'm saying, who's going to be in the mic shouting, certain things that they need to shout. So I am excited for this team. I feel like this team has personality, crazy personality in and out of game.
Mhm.
It's gonna be a good team to watch, but we do need to rank them. It sounds like Glazer right now, but we need to rank them.
Well, you know where I'm gonna put them. So yeah.
I would also put them in A with Toronto Ultra right now.
Interesting.
Personally, yeah. What do you guys think about A?
Here's my thing, right? So again, a team that I have probably watched more than most teams. League, obviously I think that more or less the last time I watched them, they were lifting trophies. So the only difference now is, you know, no RCTs, and they've obviously picked up a player in which I feel probably fulfills that role really well. I think A is fine. I just think that the reason I think that more so is the sense of I know that on a bad day they are gonna play at A, and on a very, very good day they're gonna play S. So it's a matter of how frequently they're gonna have a very good day.
Hopefully, adding Draza just again adds that level of consistency, because I'm pretty sure even on LA Thieves, Draza was one of the most consistent players on LA Thieves, and they weren't playing well that year. Like they had their own massive dips, and Draza was still like fighting to put up at least some numbers, some stats, something. So maybe having that on Faze will kind of help them sort out that consistency issue a little bit more. So yeah, but A is cool for now. We move on to what used to be the London Royal Ravens, and has now been rebranded to the Carolina Royal Ravens. We officially do not have a team from, the EU in. Well, I say EU. I mean, I think Heretics is Miami. Yeah, we don't have a team from the EU in the CDL anymore, which is quite sad.
Very much so.
Yeah,
quite sad indeed.
We need representation. Sorry, I'd say that. Yeah,
we do, and you know what?
No, sorry, not just that. Sorry, Piggy. I just have to mention as well. It's still slightly on topic, but I think it's good to see teams from different regions competing in like the COD League or wherever esports it may be. Because I remember watching the Gears of War esports. You know, there was an org, I can't remember the top of my name now. The top of my head, but they were representing like the kind of the Hispanic community, like Mexico, for example. Because I've heard that the Gears of War community is still live and active in the Latin community.
Yeah.
So I think it would be cool, or it would be a good representation to have orgs from, you know, different regions, nations, wherever it may be, to compete, because there's talent all around the world, you know. So
I mean, there's French teams, Spanish teams, there's London teams. There's a lot of players in the world that play COD, and I feel like with it going towards franchising with the CDL, because there's only 12 spots, it's literally like consolidated the talent into like almost just NA, because it's so hard to get in. So like their first picks are always like NA players, and it's just like when you look outside of that, you run out of spots by that point. There are a couple like EU players here and there like darted around, but you know, it's so much smaller. We used to have people like Scraps, Waskin, Bants, like Jerd. Like there were so many players, Mad Cat. These are all like EU players that used to be on really good teams. You had teams like Splice that had so many EU players on it. Obviously, London Royal Ravens.
That's who I could have fit. It was Splice.
I mean, and now it's just become, now we just don't have a team, period. We just don't have any representation from London at all, it feels like. So that is sad. So yeah, we would like to see more. Obviously, like moving forward with CDL, everyone hopes that they open up more spots to other orgs, other teams, maybe go from 12 to 16. Yeah. And maybe that will come with it. But I guess for now, it's Carolina, baby. So on this team, we have a Claystar, God RX, Gwyn, and Real on this team. So I would say in my opinion, two vets. And Gwyn and Real, I've only really seen them in like conversations and like challenges. I saw them in Black Ops 4 a little bit, playing a few teams, but I haven't really seen them in the Call of Duty League at all for the last 3 years.
Is that's
pretty sure.
That's not too Real.
No, I think it's just Real.
Last season, it's just Real. Okay,
I think it's just Real. Gwyn is another name I've seen, but I've not.
I have as well.
Yeah, but it's just not been.
I recognize there is Claystar, and that's because he's household. So
yeah, he's a true.
I think Gwyn was Seattle Surge, and I'm pretty sure that was a year with Seattle Surge, but not doing very well at all. So that's probably why my
got a lot of
memory
work
would
to do.
win. Yeah. So I would say like 2 question marks, 2 well-known players. You kind of should know what you're gonna get. It is interesting. Like I want to put this team high because I believe in Claystar. I feel like Claystar has made almost every roster he's been on work. Like this man's journey in the CDL is stupid. He's been on like from the top teams to getting dropped. Similar to Pre-Star, he's been dropped after like a champs win, after like a massive dub, dropped to another team. He's come back with that team who no one rated. He led them, you know, to being one of the best. You know, he's joined teams with like superstars like Shotzi and Illy. Like he's made so much work and he's found so much success. But I don't know what he's gonna do with a team like this. That it's just like, I don't know what I'm getting from you lot. I don't know.
I think if I was in Clay's position right now, because I don't know when he's looking to retire from Call of Duty. You know, we've seen Crim6 retire, Methods retire, which I feel like they could have probably maybe got squeezed 1 or more too. Sorry, I put Scump in there as well that retired. But I think if I was in Clay's shoes right now, I would just be trying to nurture these guys and trying to be the catalyst to keeping them in the league, you know?
Yeah.
Just a wholesome statement. Like I would like to see these guys do well, because Clace is a likable character. I think he's a good Call of Duty player as well.
Yeah.
He's definitely a big character in
passionate,
you
man.
know,
we need him.
Exactly, yeah. And he's got the passion. So I hope that he nurtures these guys, and I hope they learn a lot from him and, you know, the games itself. So
yeah. GodRx is someone I remember seeing vividly in Black Ops 4. And in Black Ops 4, he was a problem. Like, in a good way. He was one of those players that, like, if he's on point, it doesn't actually matter who his teammates are, he's probably carrying them to a win. So he's one of those guys. Like, it's a weird switch that he has. Again, because he hasn't been in the CDL for a little bit, it's like, it's hard. Like, I don't know what these players have been doing in the last 2 years. I don't know, like, what the progression has been like. I don't know if they've gotten better, if they've gotten worse. So it is a big question mark, but he is a Slayer AR type of player. Obviously, Clace is a bit more of a methodical, slower paced, control the game type of AR, but GodRx is like I'm pretty sure he's the flex on the team. He is your faster paced, more aggressive, need him to kind of slay out a little bit. So could be a good duo. Gwyn and Real, I really don't have much to say about them. It's just 2 more players that I'm excited to watch play. Well, if I'll be honest. Excited to get to know.
One thing I like about this actually is the fact that you guys don't recognize players, and it's crazy I can say that because obviously of how much CDL you guys watch, but it also gives me that incentive of, oh my god, we're on a level playing field here. I can actually catch up and actually understand their play styles, kind of pick up on a few things that they obviously are able to contribute towards their teams and how well they actually affects their aim of, you know, winning objectives or winning the games. But it just seems like there's a lot of story in regards to underdog and just new faces or unfamiliar faces, and, you know, how well they can combine with the experienced heads of the game, and effectively just, I don't know, it just adds up that element of, I'm looking forward to this because I'm supposed to pick a team at the end of this, and honestly, my mind's all over the place. We can imagine. That's why I'm trying to give as much info as possible, because even for people that are watching, a lot of people won't recognize these players anyway. Like believe it or not, I've been watching the CDL since World War II, and I went back and watched every other tournament dating back to like Black Ops 2. But even now, I still see certain players, and I'm like, it is. I love the Call of Duty League, man. I can't lie. I love the Call of Duty. But even for me, there's certain names I don't recognize. I don't always remember who's been on what team necessarily, especially when they're a player that hasn't been in, you know, the pro scene for a little while. So it's like, this is a good place to be, to one, learn, and to have a discussion around these players, and to just get to know, just get to know players that didn't get to be highlighted beforehand. So I mean, that's why I'm happy we got a mixture. Obviously, me and Warren are like deeply rooted in the CDL, but we still look at certain players like, I already know about you, know, like it happens, like it really does. So it's definitely we got room to grow in this thing, and room to be surprised, 100%. Which is 100%. That's what gives me that excitement. So yeah, I feel like with this team, similar to the LA Guerrillas, because it's such a question mark, I would put them in D also. Yep, I think that's fair.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I'd put them in D along with them. Again, this is not saying that these teams are going to be bad. We just genuinely don't know, and if we don't know, there's no point trying to just be nice and put them in A or B. There's no point.
I actually think the fact that some of these teams, obviously, and I feel like it gives, they're probably not, if they do watch this, great. If they don't, then it's even more reason to come back after the first major or the first, first challenger and be like, okay, now we've seen you play, we can actually,
be like, hold on a minute.
You know what I mean? Like,
shake tables
there was a couple of surprises. I can't lie, I wasn't familiar with your game, but now I am. So,
Yeah. So this is why it's good as we're gonna do this multiple times, but this is just like start of the 2023 to 2024 CDL season.
Yep.
This is what we're looking at. So yeah, we got Royal Ravens in D. Next up, this is an interesting one. This is one of the most interesting rosters I've seen because this is not reminiscent of what we've ever seen from LA Thieves, right?
Boy.
LA Thieves, their roster is vis-a-vis the following: Afro, Hammy, Ghosty, and Joe Deceives. Now, 2 of these players used to be on Minnesota Rokkr. Ghosty was on OpTic Gaming, and Joe Deceives was on LA Guerrillas last year. So this team is fully newly put together. Not one LA Thieves player is left on this team. Okay, not one of them. So this is the first time for me personally I've seen this happen since LA Thieves was formed. There was also always at least one player, probably usually even 2, who were, like an original member that stayed. And then the next time it was still somebody else that would stay into the next year. I've never seen them get nuked like this. Like, they got fully nuked. It's crazy.
It was a full-on nuke.
Yeah, it was a full-on nuke. So, yeah, it is weird to see certain players not playing the team. We've had Octane in the team, we've had Slasher, we've had Envoy, we've had Kenny, we've had Draza. Like, we've had really massive superstars on this team. Household names. And now we've kind of got a lot of people that have crazy potential that could work, but I genuinely can't. I don't even know how these guys would mesh together. Like, I don't know what that looks like.
Same.
That's an interesting one because for me, like, I think obviously I even spoke briefly around Draza and then how LFE's performed last year.
Yeah,
and ultimately since they got their championship win, things have not gelled or they haven't gone in the direction that they would have hoped for. And I know obviously that there's that element of wanting to have experience on the team or being able to have that element of continuity with people that are associated with the org around. However, I think in sports, just as well as it should apply to esports, a nuke is sometimes necessary in order for you to be able to grow or effectively start as you mean to play. So
as the members of the community say, blow it up.
Having these 4 in here could, potentially, give them something to kind of work from this year. It may even be that they're not, I don't think any other team really joins the CDL not to win, but it might be that their objectives are slightly different to any of the other, the Atlanta Phases or the OpTics, to kind of give themselves something of a foundation to build upon.
Right. And
then obviously it'll be their first year as a squad together, so there'll be room to kind of give them that platform.
That's right.
I'm being honest. So I just look at that and think, obviously, like I look at it from sports terms. I've seen rebuilds, I've seen nukes all over the gaff. So I think it makes sense to kind of have that element of caution, but also, again, another surprise package. Something could happen.
It could go really great, or it could just be a work in progress. Like,
right there.
What do you think?
Right. I think when Ghosty joined OpTic, he kind of had an impact almost straight away. When we heard the live comms, and one of the main voices I was hearing was Ghosty. So and so is going to spawn at the back, or so and so is here. I'm just thinking, whoa, like, okay, so you've come in, and it looks like you have potential to have an IGL kind of role.
Right.
So I think Ghosty will probably take that kind of role here because. He just seems like that kind of player. I think he has, serious game sense. He seems like somebody that, wants to improve. And he doesn't, he's not a complacent kind of player as well.
Yeah.
Sure. So I like Ghosty a lot. I definitely think that this team has somewhat potential to be good. Because all these players individually are good players.
Yeah.
That's why they're in the CDL, but it's just hard to see how it's going to gel, because I've seen Cammy absolutely, you know, fail and flop sometimes. I've seen Afro, you know, get absolutely, you know, pee-peed on and stuff. I've seen Joe Thieves, you know, when he joined LAG, I've seen him clutch like search and destroys and stuff, you know?
Yeah, I'm thinking search
so
for Joe,
it's very like up, down, wishy-washy with some players, but if it gels, I think this team could really surprise the CDL.
I agree.
And I truly believe that. But that's if it gels, because if it doesn't,
big question mark.
Big question marks.
It makes sense that, like, I feel like sometimes you got to look at players as like a work in progress, right? Like, obviously, when you're spending money on their salaries, I hear it. You want to decide the best straight away. But you would like to think that every single one of these players are literally grinding every single day, every year to get better. So where they are inconsistent, that's usually what you would hope, that they would kind of close the gap. That inconsistency is no longer there, right? So we've seen Cammy be like a superstar AR before. We've seen him be like, there's been a year he was literally considered top 3 AR. That's how.
Yeah, Cold War Cammy.
Cold War Cammy was different. It didn't make sense. He was so good. And you got to think about how the games play into things as well. Some games are just better suited for some players. Afro has had moments where he's been a pop-up sub, where he's got it up against people like Simple and Beezy, and he's not missed a beat. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Yeah, he's had times where he's been the opposite and he's kind of gone missing in the match, and he's not really giving what, you know, supposed to be given. But he does have like that potential to be kind of a superstar sub if he's around the right like structure of players.
Yeah.
Joe Thieves, again, is a strange one. Like Joe, I think mainly for when you mentioned S&D, I was like, yeah, because that's where I kind of feel like Joe Thieves will like get like a entry kill player's life.
Yes.
He's very tricky on the map. He's not an easy kill. Even if he's not putting up mad numbers, he's making people work to kill him. Like every time I've seen him play, it's like he's just so annoying. Like, and I feel like I don't want
to make a comparison, but I feel like I am making a comparison, but I don't want to make too much of a comparison. But he's like the Beezy of LA Thieves, in my opinion.
Take it with a pinch of salt, guys.
You know, he's just a pitch. Like I feel like he's the Beezy, because a Beezy in S&D can be hard to kill. Entry kill, then just run out, you know? And it's like you call him out, but he's already moved. Yeah. And I feel like Joe Thieves is that kind of player.
Exactly. So I think they have a good mixture, of course, and Ghosty as well. Ghosty's like, as far as I'm aware, the only one that has that type of experience with somebody like a Scump. Or like to play with Scump, Dashy, and Shotzi, and still be like one of the most vocal on the team, shows me that he came in with stock, he came in with like value, but then from being on OpTic, for even as short as it was, for being on OpTic, he immediately has things that most players do not have. When you come from a top team, you come from like a Faze, like a OpTic, even like from a LA Thieves back, obviously when they had like their dynasty run of going back to back tournaments and whatnot, you learn something from those teams that stay with you that you can impart on everybody else. Like Joe Thieves and Cammy and Afro are never going to have the opportunity to flip a team with Scump. Like they're just not. It's not a thing that's ever going to happen for them. So there's just things that I'm pretty sure he's learned from being with an org that's been around since the beginning, that like he is definitely going to like keep with him. And I think he's actually probably going to be the most important piece of the puzzle, in my opinion anyway.
I agree.
I feel like he's got to really step up for the team. Not even just in a gun skill wise, because we all know like Ghosty can shoot. Like that kid can shoot straight. Yeah, he can shoot straight.
He's got beams.
It's more so the mentality and the culture that gets made, because this is a new LA Thieves now. It is a blank, as Tima said, they've nuked it. It is a complete blank, sheet, and it's about it's literally about what story they write.
That's such a good point there, Piggy, because I was literally gonna say as well that if I was any of these four, I would use this opportunity to, it's like, it is a rebrand of Thieves, but it's a good opportunity to like be the, how do I describe it? I wouldn't say the face of Thieves, but to bring the org back to where it should have been.
Yeah.
If you catch my drift. Yeah. So it's a huge opportunity for all four players to really cement themselves here.
Yeah. They do have big shoes to fill, I will admit.
100%.
But I would hope that LA Thieves fans just take them with a bit of a pinch of salt and just be kind to them, because obviously you had someone that you loved in Octane retiring. Draza, who was very, very vocal for your team, has gone to Faze. You see Kenny go to OpTic. Like they've actually seen their players now go to the ops, basically. So of course there might be. It is a lot to stomach. It might leave a bitter taste in your mouth. They're flipping envoys on Toronto Ultra. You have to watch your team now go against players that you've grown to love. But I think just don't take it out on the guys that you got now. Get behind them. and just look at it as a new beginning for your org. And yeah, just support them because they're gonna need it.
Indeed.
It's not gonna be easy.
Heavily vouch for that.
So in saying all of this, where would we put LA Thieves right now?
I would put them. I was thinking about this literally just this right now, and it was between C and B.
Yeah.
It's a tough one because these guys, Afro Cami and Ghosty, Ghosty did he join OpTic midway through the season?
Yeah.
But either way, like these guys have got real proper CDL experience here, which is why I would put them B, because I think maybe I'm being a little too harsh in the statement that whether it can gel or not, but that's why I think they could be in B, because I think they probably could gel.
Yeah.
I think maybe because they've all been in the league against each other, I think they would understand each other quite well. Joe the Seas is a bit of the anomaly there, so
yeah, definitely.
I don't know. It's either C or B. I can't.
It's hard, isn't it?
Decipher. I can't decipher. It's up to you guys. It's either C or B for me, but I just don't know.
We're about to embark on a 2024 season. It is a new game. I would like to think C is a fair place now, because effectively you still have, like I said in regards to the previous team, you have time to actually watch and see how these guys do, particularly if they do gel, if they don't. So they could even be a C team and we wrongly put them there and they could be placed in B, or it could be that they are a B team and they don't perform very well and they are placed in C. I think it's either or. So yeah,
I'm gonna go with C, only because I asked myself the question: at their peak and Boston Breach's peak, do I think LA Thieves will perform better? And I don't know, because I see people like Priester and Slasher on the team, and I'm like, at their peak, it's just I don't know if I can just say LA Thieves would be above them with that type of team. I just feel like it would take Thieves longer to reach form, but I feel like when they do, they could actually be really good. But whereas Boston Breach, I feel like they're gonna probably start off pretty good, but it's about whether or not they even get any better. They might never get any better for the whole season. So it's just like, it depends on how they develop. I feel like we put them in both on C right now until we see a bit more from them.
Yeah, agreed.
Right, we have a new addition to the league. An organ team that wasn't in the CDL at all. The last time I saw the name Heretics was Black Ops 4. And they were a young Spanish team. A lot of people hadn't heard of these players unless they were locked into that scene. And, a lot of people thought, okay, who's this team, whatever. They come in. No, they don't really speak a lot of English. It's cool. And they beat every single top team that year that you could think of, and convincingly, and several times over. They were one of the most explosive teams that ever entered the Call of Duty League. And a few of those players are actually still on this team right now. So we have Journey, Lucky, Metals, and Vickle. And I'm pretty sure their coach is Eric Boom.
Based on your description, this sounds like it's my kind of team. That's, I've somehow come away from I've been put out of Warzone to be here, and I'm very happy to try something different. They've been, I don't know if they've been pulled out of obscurity, but it seems as if they have been here before, as you explained.
Yeah.
And they were damn good at what they were doing prior to now. I look at Call of Duty with the term resurgence quite heavily. So if this is a resurgence of a good team, I'm all in. I'd like to know what these guys are capable of. I'm
excited to watch them play, just because they when Heretics first entered, everyone was like, who the heck are these guys? And the fact that this feels almost reminiscent, I have learnt my lesson to doubt a team like this. They have a silly fan base, so many supporters, so much passion. I'm just with a game where movement is at its peak now. The only other way you can go is jetpacks at this point. That Journey and Metals especially, I just feel like they're gonna be zooming on the map, like flipping Sonic the Hedgehogs. I don't know how this team doesn't at the very least put on a mad show. in the CDL. What are you thinking, Warren? Do you remember Heretics from? Did you watch BO4?
No, I didn't. I'm this org is very new to me. The only player I do know of is Vickle.
Yeah.
You know, I think he is a decent player. He's somebody that can hang in the CDL, in my opinion. But I honestly don't know much about them at all. But I would say that I would be I'll be on fraud watch. Yeah, I'm gonna be on fraud watch. Because I feel like maybe some orgs have just, you know, decided to just put these random guys together. I've seen orgs put players together and it just doesn't work. So, you know, I'll take your word for it in regards to what you said about these guys. So if I've ordered the new kind of rosters that have joined the CDL this 23-24 season, I will be definitely tuning into MWIII Heretics 100%.
Definitely. Awesome. I just had to fact check myself as well real quick. I actually think they entered in Black Ops 3, I'm pretty sure. But BO4 was when they were like pretty much one of the most dominant teams that year. Yeah. So yeah, Metals joined in Black Ops 4. That's how I remember Metals' name. He joined in BO4. And it was Journey that was also in this team. The other two players are not here right now, but yeah, Journey and Metals were like the two what do you call them, alumni.
It'll be interesting because I know there's definitely egos in this CDL, and I know people will come up against teams and, you know, just think it's a walk in the park. But I hope this team proves that they're not just a walk in the park. Yeah. Because I want this CDL season to be a case of every match is a big match. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I want to see HPs go like 250, 240, or Search and Destroyers that go to a whole round 11, you know? So I like, because last season, you know, there was some games where it was just like, yeah, this team's going to get slammed. Like, is there even any point watching it?
Yeah.
You know, like last season, I was only watching like the main rosters because, you know, you was going to be in for an entertaining game.
Yeah, exactly.
So
it makes it sound like it was a Man City match. Sorry.
no, but Timo, that's exactly how I'm making it sound like. Some teams literally just got absolutely moved to. And do you know what? It's not your fault. It's just your opponent is just greater than you on another scale. So I would hope that in regards to what Piggy has said about MWIII Heretics in BO3 with obviously you know, some of is it Journey and Lucky that played?
Journey and Metals.
Yeah.
Lucky wasn't
Journey and Metals, sorry.
Sure. Yeah.
Journey and Metals, again, just another opportunity for them to cement themselves in the league.
Yeah. I'm excited because, like, when you outside of the top teams, you want to still have teams that you like to watch. Like, I've always felt like the best years of competitive Call of Duty is when my favorite team, which is OpTic, and people like Faze and LA Thieves are not playing, and I still enjoyed that day of matches.
Exactly.
If I can watch a Heretics versus Boston Breach and be thoroughly entertained, the CDL has won this year. So when I saw Heretics, they're just entertaining. Like, they give people a run for their money every time. Like, you can't sleep on some of these players. Like, they really like thrive off of being underdogs, off of being underrated, and they love the game. So it's just like they're just there to play some good COD. So yeah, I was excited to see them. And in terms of placements, I actually see, me personally, I feel like being a bit ambitious with these guys.
Talk to me, Piggy.
I want to put them in B.
Listen.
Whoa!
I know.
Here's my thing, right? Here's my thing. So I'm excited because this is a returning team.
Yeah.
And they've added somebody that has had CDL experience.
Exactly. Literally.
And if we're looking at it from perspective of what the teams we've already spoken about in C, there are a few that we're unsure of because of how long they've had time to gel, effectively if they're going to gel in time for the first major, but also not knowing enough about the certain players in D. So I feel like when you can add those two and then look at what this team can offer, because obviously we know that Metals and Journey have played a lot together.
Yeah.
And you're adding somebody of the likes of Vickle, I generally feel like B doesn't sound like such a bad idea, personally.
I got a feeling, man. I just got a feeling. I could be wrong. I don't mind being wrong, man. Upsets are also entertaining.
Please don't prove me wrong.
Please don't. But I'm just like, I'm so happy to see representation of players that are not just from NA. Like, I love it. And when they came onto the scene, they literally reminded people why you have to look outside for talent, because there is so much talent outside of America. Like there's a stupid amount of players that could play the CDL, that could be a pro player right now, but there's just not enough spots to fill. So the fact that they have their own, it's literally the whole Miami Heretics is basically representing Miami, but I'm pretty sure a lot of these players are Spanish. You see Journey, Lucky, and Metals.
Yep.
Like there's just so much culture there, and they are good players. So I'm just like, I'm happy to full send. Like that's my little. They're not my favorite team, but like they're my little, my little sleeper pick that I root for until they give me reason otherwise to not to.
I feel that.
So I mean, it's up to you guys. If I want to put them in B, but I'm happy with also going with what you guys might think as well.
I think I will say B, but if Warren isn't to agree, I wouldn't be annoyed if they were at the top of C.
Yeah,
because they're still,
still decent.
Yeah. I'd say based off what Piggy has said, the fact that they've got, it's a returning roster, they've got 2 players that have CDL experience. Do you know what? Based off what you guys have mentioned, I'm more than happy to put them B. Based off the fact that it's a returning roster and there's returning players. It is very controversial considering where we've placed some of the orgs already. But yeah,
try to yourselves.
Another team that has huge potential.
Yeah. This could be a team that ends up dropping down to C, or it could be a team that we're like, wow, we just made a crazy call that worked out.
I don't think many people in the league are gonna call that one, but hey.
Yeah. Hey, you gotta throw one in there sometime, you gotta
something somewhere.
You gotta throw a little curveball up there. But I personally want that team to do really well. I'm really looking at them like I want them to shake some tables. Apart from when they're facing OpTic, you can y'all can lose that. But other than that, I hope they have a good season. All right, so we got 5 teams left. Starting off with Minnesota Rokkr. We have Accuracy, who used to be on Seattle Surge. He's one of the I'll say most staple ARs in the not even just a CDL in Call of Duty competitive period. You have Linz, who I've never heard of in my life, so I'm imagining as a Challengers player. Awakening, who used to be on Boston Breach, they called him Big Wake because he was an absolute turret. He was like the backbone, the brick wall of Boston Breach. When they were playing well, he was playing well. They weren't playing well if he weren't playing well. Big Wake. Mm-hmm. And Vivid, who was also on Boston Breach, he was benched as well though. Vivid is an SMG player, very explosive, but he has had a really weird couple of years where he's like been benched, dropped, put on another team. It's just been, I don't even feel like he's been allowed to find his footing again.
Yeah.
So he's probably got a lot to prove. But yeah, I'll say we got a vet, we got a very, very, very solid player in Awakening. And we got Vivid, who is a question mark, and Linz, who I have never heard of a day in my life.
Minnesota Rokkr, for me, this roster I think is actually pretty good. I've watched a lot of Awakening. The reason why I started watching Awakening was because when Miles Ross was the caster and he used to go Big Wake, I'm just like, yeah. This guy seems like him. He seems like him. So
he's him.
Yeah, shout out Miles. Thank you for allowing me to tune into Awakening because I would have slept on him. Vivid as well. I'm sure he's a sub player, right?
He is, yeah.
Vivid, I think, is an underrated player. He definitely has such good in-game sense. He makes good plays. So having Awakening and Accuracy there, you could say like staples. It's
a good duo. Hello.
It's very interesting roster. Just where would I put them? And I think this roster could definitely be B tier.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I agree.
I think because I don't know much about Linz, but when you're like a new player in the CDL or just a new player in a team in general, and you've got such experienced players around you, you're only going to get better. That's if you want to get better.
I have a lot of faith in Accuracy to lead like Linz and Vivid in the right direction, and then just having Awakening as like I feel like you ain't really got to say much to him. Do you know what I'm saying? Like there's like an understanding there because like Awakening just does what he has to do every time. He plays his role almost to perfection. So having that type of security behind you whilst you're kind of bringing up this new gun and making sure Vivid finds his feet, I feel like a good system will be made with their team. I don't know how high their ceiling is necessarily. Like when you think about like ARs like Dashi, Cell, Ghosty, Kenny, I like what ARs and flexes. I don't know if their ceiling is as high as that, but I would say I can see them being like a B to C team right now anyway.
I don't disagree.
Agreed.
I mean, I can't disagree, but yeah. No.
So I'm thinking, I want to respect them a little bit, and I don't know. Oh, it gets techie, doesn't it? Because it gets techie. This gets so techie because I'm looking.
I think they're B, but ahead of Miami Heretics.
Could be okay. Do you know what it is? I just feel like this is such a disrespect to Boston Breach, but there are reasons why we just don't know. I just can't believe I'm putting these teams above Priester and Slasher. Like, it's actually hurting my head. But I don't know. Like, I just don't know. It's such a, like, it could be great. Like, Boston could go from C to A. Like, they could, 100%. They could. But it's so hard putting teams above them because I'm just like, I know these players. So we're happy with Rokkr in B tier. Was it above?
Rokkr in B. Yeah, above Heretics, yeah.
Okay, cool. One of the easiest teams to place, in my opinion. Not too much has to be said. One of the most loved rosters in the CDL currently. We have
Oh my god.
the New York Subliners. We have Hydra, who recently won Best Controller Player of the Year. Esports Award. Big up Hydra. We've got Kismet. We've got Skies. So that is 3 out of 4 of the championship team. And they have added Sib, who was playing with Accuracy and Pred, and I believe Mac, on Seattle Surge. Sib is the same way people talk about Pred being like one of the best SMG players that are still kind of relatively new. He's had about 2 years in the CDL now. They talk about Sib in a very similar way as a flex. So he's like a young superstar, skillful flex player that they've picked up and replaced Priester, because clearly in their minds, he is a direct upgrade from someone they would just won a championship tournament with somehow. So that is a team.
Let me tell you something about Sib. I remember I was watching an interview with, I can't remember who it was with. Miles was presenting it. And one thing Sib was mentioning is, one thing I admire from Sib is his ruthless mentality to being the best. He wants to be the best. And you can see it in his gameplay as well. You know, the guy is constantly locked in. Even when he clutches games, right? The guy is so ice cool. He barely celebrates. But when he does celebrate, I'm like, oh yeah, I felt that one. Because I know you rarely like, it's just a quick fist bump. Just a quick fist bump and he's locked straight back in.
Yeah.
But when I see him tee up and then he's celebrating, I'm like, okay, you are looking to really go for it.
Yeah.
Controversial, whether it's a direct upgrade from Priester, because like I said, I think they are quite similar players. But I think out of the two, Sib definitely, in my opinion, has that kind of raw ability, you know. Right. So it's going to be very, very interesting how he performs in this team. I think he is going to take Subliners to newer lengths. My prediction already, I think Subliners are going to win a chip, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think they would have been a major as well.
Yeah, I think they definitely get something out of
it just
4 majors, right?
Yeah, 4 majors and then champs.
Yeah.
It just hurts me because, like I said, I really like Priester. I've seen him get shafted so many times and scapegoated. For a man to finally get his chip and prove to everybody that he is not washed, he is not fallen off and get dropped, it does hurt my soul. I'm not going to lie. I hate seeing stuff like that. I do. So looking at his team, I'm like, bunch of punks. No, but I do still like New York Subliners. It's just a little salt. However, I almost can't fault it. Outside of the emotional side of it, from a team standpoint, I almost can't fault it. And I think because even though they were like a top 3 team, top 2 team, I mean, throughout the year, to the middle of the year, they became a top 2 team because they literally won, like, just kept winning flipping chips and then went on to win champs. There could have been consistency issues moving forward because a lot of teams are going to catch up to them. And I don't know if their ceiling was high enough with Priester. If they were solid, but I don't know if there was any more room to grow. I feel like Hydra is still growing. I feel like Kismet's still growing. I feel like Skies is solid, but I feel like I don't know if Priester had any more left in the tank to be any better than he is now. When I look at Sib, I'm seeing next level. I'm seeing like, okay, for the next 5 years, well, let's hope that they stay together for that long. But even for the next like 2 to 3, the potential they have with Sib is in my opinion, is a lot greater than what they had with Priester. And just because they won the championship tournament, I guess doesn't mean you get complacent. You know, some people can say like you don't think of it in a way of like, you can think if it's not broken, you know, don't fix it. But you can also think we still want to get so much better. And if we feel like this one player can take us to the next level, which means that we could probably win another championship next year, I guess you have to kind of make a change like that if that's your mentality. So I do understand it. And I feel like they are a scary team. I just worry for them because if this doesn't work out, the backlash is going to be insane.
Oh, God, no.
It's going to be insane.
Crazy. It's gonna be crazy.
It has to work.
Be like, because the saying goes, if it's not broken, don't fix it.
Yeah.
But there must be something that the coaches or the org have discussed, that because there might have been something they might have seen in certain rounds or in certain majors where you know they might have wanted a SIB kind of player or not. Let me retract from that. Not maybe a SIB like player, but there's probably just some things that maybe SIB could have done better than Freestar. Do you know what I'm saying? So it's a big decision from them. So
it's ballsy. They just put it on the table, just slapped it on the table. Like, that's what we're doing. Like, it's ballsy.
You go big or you go home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
So I do have to respect it. And I think, for me, I said I don't want to put no one at S, but this is actually the only team
I
would feel the most comfortable with putting in S right now.
I would agree with you based on the fact that they are current champions.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Current champions and then brought on a superstar. It's like, all right, I see what you guys are doing. And I talk about my top org, not even just in Call of Duty, just in general. My favorite org.
In general, in esports.
In esports to exist.
In esports.
We have an absolute banger of a team. Now, OpTic Texas, even though it's always written Texas OpTic in the CDL, but they hate that. We have Dashi, Kenny, who was previously on LA Thieves, Pred, who was previously on Seattle Surge, and Shotzi. Good God, this team is ridiculous.
Well.
This team is unreal. This team is unreal. I'm not gonna lie. This team is seriously looking frightening.
I'm not even gonna lie. From my understanding anyway, because obviously look like the only two I recognize, obviously OpTic specifically, will be Shotzi and Dashi, and that's just because they've been main staples for a while now. Pred I've heard of, and I've heard nothing but great things. So I'd like to think if OpTic are looking to bring in a player of that stature, they know what they're doing. Kenny is somebody that I do recall. I believe was it Vanguard, the LA Thieves last one or something?
Yeah.
And he came ridiculously clutch for that series. So I think obviously again, if we go back to LA Thieves and where that's kind of gone now, I think each player that's left has definitely got something to prove, and there is nothing better to add to your roster than a hungry player.
Yes. This is, before I start glazing on this team, before I start glazing, let me let everybody know for right now, I became an OpTic gaming fan in World War II, arguably their worst year in Call of Duty history. So it calls me a glory hunter. Yeah, I literally joined this team at the lowest. I wasn't even around for the dynasty or like the highest of highs in it. So I just wanted to let that be known. I went back and watched all of that. So this is, when I say it's my team, it's my team. I came about when they were down in the dumps. So let's get that out of the way with. Now, this is like having LeBron, Michael Jordan, and Steph Curry in the same team. It don't make sense. Like, they are all, whatever team you find Dashi, Pred, or Shotzi on, they could go to any team. That team is automatically up by 2 tiers. Like, it doesn't matter what team it is, they've gone up in stock. So to have them all in the same team, it's unheard of. I can't believe they let this happen. Every other team in the CDL, I can't believe they let this happen. And then, so to me, it's like you got a sub duo that literally is on par with Simp and Abizi. We all say Simp and Abizi because they genuinely are the best sub duo in the game. Like, it's hard to argue against them, I'm not gonna lie. You actually have a sub duo that's generally like on par, like gun skill wise, mechanically, just deniability of being killed, all of that, right there, like top tier, 1 and 2. And then we have Dashi, who I feel like is in conversation along with Cellular in being like a new household legend of like AR players, like people that you look back on this like 10 years later, and you'd be like, you're like, yeah, Formal's up there. Slashers up there, you put Dashi, you put Cellular. Like, I feel like they're getting to that conversation now of solidifying themselves as like a Mount Rushmore of
Yep.
AR players. And then you have Kenny, who again, he's had unfortunate scenarios on LA Thieves, but in terms of like sometimes they're inconsistent, sometimes they've dropped off. But I feel like Kenny is like the glue a lot of the time in a lot of his teams that kind of keeps them together. And to have him on OpTic, which is a team I feel like ever since we lost like Formal, we didn't have any level of leadership that we needed. And it was going to be Scump. And I feel like if Scump stayed and took on the like flex role, I feel like we would have had that leadership. But because he retired, it just went back to square one. Like, okay, but now we're still looking for it. Do you know what I'm saying? We're looking for that player that's just gonna command everybody. Because Scump traditionally he wasn't that player. It was like Formal, it was Crim 6, he had Karma. Like Scump was just a slayer. Scump was Shotzi basically. Do you know what I'm saying? It's like that wasn't really his role. So now I feel like they've generally found like the mastermind behind the culture of OpTic to make it run and tick the way it's meant to. My only like worry is that this is just going to be another superstar talented roster that falls apart and every team catches up to them and they don't increase like the gap between them and everybody else. That's my only issue.
You could say they are the direct rivals of Atlanta Faze.
Yeah.
But I would put them S tier.
I actually don't dispute it. Personally.
I would put them S tier. One, this roster, their ceiling is incredibly high.
Yeah.
Yeah. Two, if you think about when you're playing up against OpTic, you're gonna have to sweat, like absolutely sweat for every kill. You think you can just go up and just kill Shotzi if he's right in front of you looking at you? No. Pred is like a titan in the battlefield. Like he just seems like such a force. Kenny, like for someone using an AR, he moves so rapid. Yeah, and
he's one of the best flexers right now.
You know what? I think he can take the title of what was Octane's title again? The Human Sentinel or whatever.
Human Sentry Gun.
Human Sentry Gun. There we go. I think Dashi could take that title. They're all all individually incredible players. And definitely S tier for me.
I'm not gonna lie. I actually think with how the last 12 months have gone for OpTic, like I speak about Kenny being hungry. I think that whole roster are hungry to, really kick on. And I think if we're looking at this from the acquisitions they've made, they are not here to sit on A tier. They are most definitely not here to just take over. They're here to be here. They're here to set up their own dynasty at this point. Like, you look at how strong of the acquisitions they've made. Those aren't like, oh, we're happy to be here and we're gonna try and compete. No. We're competing on all fronts and we're doing that effective immediately.
I'm happy with S tier, I ain't gonna complain. I have no qualms. People might be like, above Ultra? Oh my god, above Faze? But it's like, there's a reason behind it. It's not just based on raw talent.
I think the qualifiers, they're really gonna kick on from it. I wouldn't be let me just quickly who they got. Okay, big matchup. They've got Subliners, but I wouldn't be shocked if they win the series. It's going to be a close series, but I wouldn't be shocked if they win it purely because of just the talent on this roster is phenomenal.
I mean, it's cool because like we got Sib's first match on the York Subliners and it's Pred's first match on the OpTic, and they were both on the same team last year.
Yeah.
Sib and Pred, and it's funny. Sib actually described Pred as having a Michael Jordan mentality.
Well, that's going to be interesting because they both have winner mentality. So somebody, unfortunately, in this circumstance,
some guy lose.
Listen, that game is going to map 5, round 11.
That's on Friday. The last match on Friday. I'm definitely doing a watch party for that day as well. And yeah, we've even got Faze as well. Faze is playing that day. That's a good day of matches. I'm not gonna lie to you.
It's that Friday is a decent day of matches. It's a very good opener for that. So for the qualifiers,
I'm excited for that.
God, Friday is actually a big day.
Good to see Faze, LA Thieves. Good to see what they're about. Even Seattle Surge. Seattle Surge is actually our next team to rank. Funny enough, and that is a fully new squad that previously got nuked. And this is a team that I feel like there's going to be one of two extremes. I feel like they're going to be like a really, really difficult team to beat, or they're going to be like free CDL points. This year's Seattle Surge team is Illy, who was previously on OpTic, Huke, who was also previously on OpTic, Arcites, who was on LA Guerrillas and also was on a latter phase, and Abuza, who was has been talked about as the best prospect coming from challengers. Out of all the new kind of rookies we've seen being picked up and stuff this year, like Abuza is apparently, I believe, one of two. I think there's another guy that's really, really amazing, but he's like number one challengers pick to join the CDL team, and he's on this team.
I mean, obviously, Arcites is going to be pretty much a guy that's been around the block a number of times. He's got his clips to his name. So evidently he's going to be able to bring that experience about being able to help engineer some sort of, challenge towards a major. And obviously you've got Hugh and Lily, who have both, built their pedigree over at OpTic and have been able to kind of make a name for themselves in one way, shape, or another. And I feel like that's probably perfect for somebody like Abuza, who's, again, I feel like if he goes to an org like an OpTic or a Faze, I'm not saying he won't perform, but I feel like the environments are very different.
You feel like he kind of get lost
you want to have
in those teams.
Yeah. He could get carried instead of
actually get lost,
helping towards the win kind of thing.
I don't know if they do.
Like I feel like here he's gonna earn his stripes. He'll be able to really settle into a team that effectively are going to need him. I look at this team and think they all have they've all got quite a lot to offer. But in the areas in which they do lack in, I'd like to think Abuser will be able to carry that load. I do still think that Arcites has quite a lot of pedigree with what he brings to the team. So if anything, I'd like to think he'll probably be the IGL of the group. And I think that's definitely something that Abuser needs. I also think that Hook's been, I won't say hard done. I feel like his role has been very interesting, and I think it's been overlooked at times because of how the style of play that maybe previous teams have obviously tried to utilize him in. I think it's an opportunity for him to obviously have a fresh start and really gravitate towards the needs of this team. It'd be interesting. I feel like I don't know too much about Illy, but over the time now you do see a lot that's been spoken of. I think both of them are gonna wanna. It's just a similar situation with Kenny over at OpTic. They're both going to be ridiculously hungry. So it kind of goes back to this point where Piggy does say that they either are going to be a ridiculously hard team to beat, or the latter. But I'd like to think it'd be I like to think it won't be so. I think this team will be very interesting, to say the least.
I think to summarize this roster, this is their redemption arc. Arcites being dropped from Faze, Hugh, being one of the biggest what if players throughout all of CDL, because I can't remember what Call of Duty title it was, but there was a title where Hugh was a real dominant player, and then there's other titles where he's just been a what if player. Illy, with his since his injury, I haven't actually seen much of him. I know he tried to come back, and then I think he re-injured his thumb. Abuser, I've been watching during scrims as well. Abuser is a player to look out for in the CDL. He was number one pick, right, from Challengers?
Yeah, pretty much. He was like the top prospects of getting picked up to a CDL team.
And I'm not surprised because watching him in scrims, so one of the tournaments recently, he was teamed with Celium and Abizi. And he can hang. I'll tell you that for free. Abuser really does know how to play this damn game. I can tell you that for free. So this is the biggest redemption arc of this squad. And alongside Miami Heretics, this Surge team is one that I will be watching as well. For me personally, because it's their redemption arc, I'll put them C, because when we do go back to this tier list and we see that they're winning 3-0 maybe, in majors, they make it to like a semi-finals or maybe. The reason why I'm putting them C is because there is areas of improvement, if that makes sense. I don't think they're B quite yet because again, it is the redemption arc. So I think C's perfect for them.
Yeah.
And I'm not putting, and I hope people that watch this don't look at this and think, oh, how Surge C, and look at it and think, oh, C just like means they're rubbish. No, I'm not saying that they're rubbish or anything like that.
Mm.
It's just they have a lot to prove at the moment as a team, because like I said previously, RCE's dropped from Faze, quite controversial. There was a lot of discussions on Twitter at the time. Hugh being the biggest what if players, and then MWIII with his injury, you know, can he come back and be the MWIII that he was during OpTic Texas in Vanguard, Cold War, whenever it was. So yeah, that's what I think.
All right, guys, just like that, we are on our last team. We do have Vegas Legion as our last team to put on this tier list. They do consist of Attach, who was previously on Minnesota Rokkr, Nero, who was on Boston Breach, Standy, who was on Toronto Ultra, and Theory, who was on the previous Paris Legion. So he basically kind of just stayed on. This type of team formed, I'm pretty sure, very late. And a lot of rosters had already solidified their teams, and it's kind of just like who's left. It has nothing to, I don't think it has a lot to do with their skill level. I just feel like there's just so many other players that get picked for their roles over them that they just kind of get put in like a makeshift team to make it work. I mean, you literally all four of these players were all in different teams for this. So Nero is, I've never really fully taken the time to watch Nero play, even when he was on Boston. I usually gravitated towards like Vivid when he was playing for them, and Awakening as like the ones I would really watch, and obviously Methods before he retired. So I do want to see Nero more this season. I'm probably going to try and watch him just more specifically. What happened with Standy? Because I feel like he played for another team very briefly.
Yes, and Standy got dropped, and then he got picked up by Vegas, because I remember he was teamed
with
up
Claystar,
with Claystar
and Temp,
and he was
solid.
Standy was frying when he joined that Vegas Legion team. It was like he was like, okay, you're gonna drop me? Cool, I'm gonna prove to you why you shouldn't have done that. And
he was actually just firing all cylinders. It was a crazy
he was
spark.
going insane.
He got a mad spark from that. Which is what I'm happy, and I hope he keeps that spark, because it's going to be really important going into this year. If that continues on, if that feeling continues, I feel like it will help him to have someone like Attach as well, because Attach is no slouch. He's not lazy. He's a vet. Like, he's been in the scene for stupid long on some of the best teams. So it helps him. I think if he had like a bunch of like rookies and castaways, it might not help Sandy too much. But I think when you have structure, it's a good foundation. It's hard to place them. It's actually really hard to place them.
I feel like that's a 50-50 split. So that kind of puts you between a B and a C, just because I don't think you could give them a D completely, because I feel like at least two of the players that are playing.
I think if it was a C, it would be right at the end, closest to D. But I feel like a C, like the lowest team in C.
Lowest team in C. I was gonna say ahead of Seattle.
Ahead of
that's just
Abuser RCEs.
Yeah, it's because they well, no, actually not. I agree. Last C. Yeah, because they both have something to prove.
They do. And the thing is, when you look at this list, right, it's funny because a lot of the teams we put at the bottom are either just all question marks or teams with a lot to prove. So a lot of this we are basing it off of previous years. But they are coming with a chip on their shoulder. Like, a lot of these teams are like, I don't think anybody really knows how they're going to perform together, because a lot of them are just newly formed. Like, the top four have made the least changes out of all these other teams. You know what I'm saying? Ultra made, obviously basically nuked their squads. Like, New York made one change, OpTic made two, Faze made one, Ultra made one, and then as you go down, Heretics is a brand new team. You know, Rokkr's made a couple changes, and then you go further down, and it's like everyone's made a lot of changes to their team, if not the whole team. So it's just like,
makes sense.
This is based on synergy, what we know from these teams, and then as time goes on, we're gonna get a much better look at how good they actually are with a bit of time under them. Because, you know, the more you play with your teammates, the better you get. Are we happy?
Action-packed.
Are we happy with this list from top to bottom?
Yes, I'm happy with D because, again, they are relatively either unknown or there is a lot to, there's a lot of expectation around them finding their foundations.
Yeah.
Building upon their foundation. I feel like every other team beyond that have got something to prove, and there's enough experience at either end to suggest that they aren't newbies. They're not. They know what they have to do effectively, and then from there it's kind of just okay. I'm back now, or I'm back with another twist.
Yeah.
Let's kind of see where that twist takes us. And that stems from B to A to S effectively.
Yeah.
Whether it be one or two changes. I low-key think this list is fine.
I think it's good. I like it. I think it's a great starting point just to mark the beginning of the season.
Right.
Change I'd probably make is probably put Boston Breach in B on the basis of the fact that they have Slasher and Priest are two very experienced players.
Okay, that's
just on paper as well. Just looking at the teams on paper, the roster on paper, like it's an incredible squad which deserves to be B tier. I think it's a little injustice on Slasher and Priest are putting them C in my opinion.
It is, right?
And obviously Snoopy, a cracked raw talent.
Like he is really on fire, and then just to think about the subject during us placing, I did have a moment where I was just like putting teams above Boston, and I feel weird about it. Like I feel there's something in this that. So I'm happy to keep them.
I'm happy with S tier, A tier. I'm completely happy with that. Despite obviously I would put Faze S tier because I just think they're probably they deserve to be up there with Subliners and OpTic. But I did say because of their consistency over the last couple of years, which is why they are A tier. MWIII Heretics for me, because I don't know much about them, but I just went on based off because they are the players that are there in that roster are from an old age of COD. So I think they do have somewhat experience. I don't think they're complete newbies, so that's why I believe that they can be beat it, they can hang. C and D, completely happy with as well. It's completely new rosters, so completely happy with this.
W tier list.
I think so. I agree.
It's a good start. Very good start.
It's a very, very good start. But we are getting to the end of the YouTube video. However, there is one last thing we need to do before we leave. Something that if you guys want to know more about as well, make sure you guys all subscribe to Team Too Good and follow on with the Too Good cast, because we're going to be continuing.
Yes, sir.
My door. Because we're going to be continuing to talk more about the CDL throughout the year on that podcast.
Yes,
but
sir.
we actually have something pretty fun to do. During the year, we're going to have a little competition. So each of us are going to pick a team that we are going to be rooting for. It's going to be, the team that we're going to be getting behind. Not to say we won't be rooting for other teams as well, but this is our pick for this year. And we will be getting points for every win they get, which is going to be really fun, because then at the end of the year, we got to see who, picked the best team. Maybe all of our teams might end up being bad somehow. Or it could be a super competitive year where, the difference in points is, just one match between us. You never know how it's going to shape up to, at the end of the year. So I'm going to let you guys pick your teams first. You get one pick. You can pick from any of the 12 teams you see in this tier list. And that will be your pick of the season.
Piggy, you might not expect this because I'm picking this team because I like the players involved in this team. There's two, but the one I'm picking is purely based on the fact that I like the team. I want to see them do well. I'm going to invest stocks into this team. It's not going to be the obvious choice.
Oh,
and
interesting.
It's not going to be the obvious choice. It's going to be Seattle Surge. It's going to be Seattle Surge.
Okay, hold on a sec. Let me just have a look at this real quick, because he said Seattle Surge.
He just threw a whole banner, not even the whole ball box got thrown.
It's going to be Seattle Surge. Yes, those that may know me or may not know me, Faze is very, very close to my heart because growing up, I did, appreciate the sniper montages. Selim is my favorite player at Faze, but I feel like it would have been too cliche to gone with the most favorite team. And I do want to I'm going to be seriously invested in CDL this year, and I didn't want to go with the obvious choice because the whole world will be watching Faze and your OpTics and stuff.
Yeah.
But I want to invest my stocks into Seattle Surge because this is their redemption arc. So I'm gonna go for Seattle Surge.
No, because wait a minute, because now I'm not picking the team I was gonna pick anymore.
Damn.
There's no way. Hold on.
I'm just here thinking that this is gonna be a clean, easy decision, and now people are, okay, fair enough.
Taking Tebo's picks out here.
No, I mean, if I had to go with my original pick, I would have chosen Boston Breach, but that's because I feel like they've got something to prove.
Mm-hmm.
I can't lie, that's not a bad pick.
It's not a bad pick at all.
I generally felt like it's a thing where, actually there was an element of Miami Heretics, but I think because I recognize a few of the actual Boston Breach players, and I think it's actually this might be a good team for me to like really start with because again, I haven't really, I know of the Phases, the OpTics, the Subliners, Toronto Ultra. I think those are like mainstays. I understand those. And I think over the course of watching CDL this year, I'll obviously pick up my favorite player. However, I feel like it's important to have that mix of experience and fresh blood. I feel like that's kind of the team. I feel like that is able to kind of display that the most. So yeah.
My head just got spun. Oh my god!
I know. I wasn't expecting him to do that either, Piggy. I can't lie. But
hey, this is why I love you guys because you look at me on my toes. Like what?
Piggy, you weren't expecting that one, was you?
No. But it's cool. I'm gonna play along. I'm gonna be a good sport. We're not picking any top teams. Clearly, I'm going with Miami Heretics. That's my pick.
Oh.
I'm going all in. I guess I go all in.
Wait. No, to be fair, I could have expected that just because you did say that, like, as much as OpTic was her favorite team, she did say that this was a team she had a lot of exciting. Like, if it wasn't OpTic, she was gonna choose. She was gonna run with this one.
I do like Seattle Surge. I think that's a solid pick, and I do like, but like literally, if I had to like, those are all in my options. If I'm not picking a top 4 team, all of our picks are literally right there. Like I'm just like, okay, cool. If Seattle Surge is taken, it's Miami Heretics. It just is.
So I'm assuming that would mean that for the next 12 months, I am going to be from Boston, Massachusetts.
Yeah.
All right, John Cena. I'm gonna see you in a bit.
Bruh,
What I'm saying.
I might be more excited about this than I was before. I can't like because you know what it is. It's true. Like it's so cliche to just pick like an OpTic, like a Faze, and then maybe an Ultra or Subliners is probably who our 14 was probably going to go for, one of the two. Like everyone loves those games. Let's be real. Everyone like those teams are just massive. But when you look being under, I can't like. It's kind of interesting. Now we're gonna jump on for these games, and we're gonna be more invested into it just because like those are our picks, and we actually want to see more from them.
And not just that, but Timo made a very valid point in regards to the storylines, you know, because everybody loves a storyline, you know.
Yeah, man, we love our underdog.
Obviously, just a FYI, me and Piggy, our teams closest to us are Faze and OpTic.
Yeah,
but we due to the rosters that have been made, there is some serious storylines that could develop. So yeah, this is going to be a very interesting CDL season, and I can't wait. Like again, goosebumps are back on my arms again.
Let's do this. All right, may the best two good cast hosts win. Yeah, man. Well, guys, we will be keeping you all up to date with the scores after each qualifying week, after each major. During the podcast as well, we'll probably have a little short time talking about it and just seeing how our teams did. So make sure you guys are along for the journey. This is not a one video thing. This is not a 1 week, 1 month thing. This is for the year. So we got a long journey ahead of us. And more exciting content coming up on the Two Good Cast specifically as well. Things that we can't disclose to you right now, but you gotta find out when you find out. But yeah, I mean, that's going to do it for today's YouTube video. Please do follow my good bros, Timo Too Good and Statics Wars on all platforms. It will all be in the description below.
Always a
And
pleasure.
yeah, I hope you guys had a good time on today. I had a blast.
I had a great time.
That was great fun.
I was so sick. I was so sick. All right, guys. Well, I'll catch you all in the next video. I appreciate you all for watching. Have a blessed night, evening,
Peace.
morning, afternoon.